Thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Horrific news from New York City. A devastating terror attack has just claimed at least 8 lives, including one Jewish man, and left nearly a dozen others injured. Police now have the suspect in custody and have identified him as an Uzbek national living in the United States since 2010. The suspect left behind a note at the scene of the crime claiming he made the attack in the name of the Islamic State. The NYPD has just released the mugshot of 29-year-old Sayfullu Saipov. Saipov is believed to be the driver of the truck that intentionally mowed down pedestrians on a New York City bike path, then smashed his vehicle into a children's school bus. The suspect can then be seen fleeing police brandishing fake guns. Police neutralized him in a shootout and rushed him to the hospital, where he's expected to make a full recovery. Police are treating the investigation as an official terror attack, making it the bloodiest terrorist plot in New York since the fall of the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001. The first real attempt of Palestinian reconciliation has just become a shocking reality. We've learned that Hamas has now officially turned over control of all Gaza border crossings to the Palestinian Authority, making this the first time in over 10 years that the PA has had any official control in the Gaza Strip. This handoff is a critical and symbolic gesture by Hamas, demonstrating the terror group's eagerness to uphold the terms of the unity deal. But it's also the first concrete test for the Palestinians, beginning a long process in which Hamas will eventually transfer all administrative control over to the Palestinian Authority. For now, Hamas soldiers are still on guard at the border crossings, while PA President Mahmoud Abbas's government is responsible for all crossings and taxes along the Gaza-Egyptian border. As the negotiations continue, Abbas's security forces will eventually replace Hamas soldiers, though many believe Hamas will fight to keep its own police present in the mix. The Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza has been mostly closed due to security concerns, but now that it's in PA hands, Abbas plans to reopen it full-time, something that hasn't happened in over 10 years of Hamas control. IDF security forces had a very busy Halloween last night as they carried out several operations across the West Bank. The IDF and border police together rounded up over a dozen suspects, 50,000 shekels in money intended for Hamas terror, and several illegal weapons. Without commenting too much on who was arrested in connection to which charge, the army reports arresting several suspects in connection to a fatal stabbing terrorist attack on Reuven Schmerling earlier this month in Kafr Qasim. Then 13 more suspects charged with popular terrorism, aka throwing rocks, Molotov cocktails, and other forms of violent rioting, were picked up. Later, in the Al-Amari refugee camp, the IDF picked up the money that was set to fund terror, along with 3 suspected Hamas members. Then, during another search, a makeshift weapon and a pistol hidden inside a stuffed toy dog were confiscated. Thankfully, though, despite all the chances, no reports of injuries were made. Iraq, in an odd sidebar, has taken the time yesterday to vote on criminalizing waving the Israeli flag. The decision was made at the request of the Shiite leader of the citizen bloc, Ammar al-Hakim, who pushed the legislation following the latest photos coming from pro-Kurdish rallies. Israel has been one of the few nations that has openly endorsed the idea of establishing a Kurdish state in northern Iraq, and this support has been well received by Kurds everywhere. Well, the Iraqi government does not share the enthusiasm one bit. In fact that Israel is one of the few supporting nations has even prompted many Iraqis to believe that the Kurdish independence referendum is a Jewish-Israeli Zionist plot. Prime Minister Netanyahu sarcastically dismissed such allegations in early October, saying, quote, "I understand why those who support Hamas want to see the Mossad in every uncomfortable place, but Israel had no part in the referendum of the Kurdish people, apart from the deep, natural, long-standing sympathy of the people of Israel for the Kurdish people and their yearnings," end quote. For the record, the Kurdish referendum did get the yes vote in the end, but Iraq has been fighting and seems like it will continue to fight that result tooth and nail. President of Big Start Israel and honorary president of the Giro d'Italia bicycle race, Sylvan Adams, has just performed several miracles. First, he was able to convince the other organizers of the Giro d'Italia race to launch it in Israel for the first time in the race's history. But as if that wasn't hard enough, he's now just gone to Vatican City to hand-deliver a request to Pope Francis, a request for the Pope himself to come to Israel in May and help launch the leg of the race. He even invited the Pope to ride alongside him as part of his bicycle convoy. Adams reportedly told the Pope that, quote, "Israel and specifically its capital Jerusalem is an important center of all 3 Abrahamic faiths, where we must daily demonstrate our ability to live together in this tiny geography. The upcoming race in Israel is further testimony to the power of sport to transcend politics and division and focus solely on sportsmanship," end quote. Now, while delivering the invitation to the race was Adams' personal goal, it wasn't the only invitation he was delivering. The last time the Pope and Israeli President Rivlin met, Rivlin invited the Pope to come for Israel's 70th Independence Day celebrations in late April. Well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has apparently written a letter hand-delivered by Sylvan Adams to the Pope, reminding him of that invitation, and then re-extending it. Should Pope Francis accept these invitations and come to the Holy Land, he'll be in great company. The 2018 Giro d'Italia race, which begins May 4th, is expected to bring in thousands of tourists and 175 of the world's best cyclists.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.